If you were to ask me if Season 6 was a good season of Game of Thrones overall, I would probably have to say no. While the season finale definitely changed my opinion of Season 6 for the better, it can't make me forget that the other 9 episodes did not come close to it. The more important effect the finale had, however, was that it pushed an aspect that I had liked about all episodes of Season 6 to a new level. Season 6 was a season of transition, a season of setting the stage for the endgame. It might turn out that it did that very well, despite the episodes being therefore less enjoyable than they could have been. Season 6 was not a great season, but it might have been necessary to prepare for 2 great remaining seasons. At least that's what I hope. So, how did Season 6 achieve this? By simplification, by reduction and conflation. Their main tool being the axe that they gave a tremendous number of characters. Beside leaving Meereen and Braavos behind for good as it seems, 24 actually or potentially important players on the show at the outset of Season 6 have become 11 by the end of the season. This speaks volumes about the showrunner's determination to wrap it up neatly and concisely in the space of 13 more episodes. Don't get me wrong here. It's certainly possible to hold the opinion that having only 13 more episodes was no good idea to begin with. But within the context of only 2 shortened seasons remaining, they did what they had to do, and I'm happy for it. It is the way to go for what they want to do, and probably the only realistic way. Let's face it, D&D most likely simply don't know all the necessary details of what GRRM is planning. If they are to do it, they are to do it their way. Therefore it's pointless to complain about them doing it their way. Better they do it strictly their way than nothing at all, or trying to guess George's unfinished ideas. The good news is, therefore, that that decision has clearly been taken now. From here on out, the show will not be working with everything George has given them, but only with those pieces that they deem important for their version of the endgame. So, with 11 pieces left on the board, where do we go from here? First and foremost, the show has made a point of delaying the advent of the Night's King and his army of White Walkers and the dead. If they were anything but the ultimate antagonist, the showrunners might as well have let them attack already. The real question for the endgame is not about the antagonist, but about which faction or factions will stand against that antagonist. Therefore, a quick preview of Season 8 is much easier to do than a preview for Season 7. With the White Walkers, we really only have to ask if they will be destroyed, if they will retreat, make peace, or even become human again. The White Walkers winning is no real possibility. I'd love them to become human again, by the way, but that's a topic for another day. What Season 7 will therefore be about is what shape humanity will get itself into before and during the actual confrontation with the White Walkers. The central question is how the 4 main factions will align and which will survive. The key here is Daenerys. She is sailing for Westeros from the east and will land her forces somewhere on the eastern coast. Certainly not in the north, since she has no idea that Jon is her nephew and what he will be facing. Her natural enemies are Cersei and Euron, because she hates House Lannister and wants the Iron Throne, and because she is allied with Euron's enemies. She will most likely try to go directly for the capital, attacking it from the south, the direction her allies House Tyrell and House Martell will come from. Since Jon is strictly looking north, he should take no part in whatever his aunt does in the south. He will probably be busy trying to hold back the White Walkers, who can be expected to finally at least begin to test humanity's defenses, spearheaded by a new king in the north. If Euron hadn't been introduced only after the showrunner started to kill off everyone they deemed superfluous, I might say Euron will die without any further impact. But the mere fact that they bothered to introduce him so late in the game can only mean that he still has a relatively important purpose to fulfill. That purpose, I imagine, must be hindering Dany. If Dany were to simply land near King's Landing and lay siege to it, it could not be very long before the destabilized city will be surrendered or destroyed. Dany has the numbers, the dragons, and probably also the support of the small folk. I see Jaime repeating the assassination of Aerys II with Cersei, as she tries to do what Aerys tried. blowing up King's Landing rather than surrendering it. The question is, however, how exactly Euron will interfere. It's tough to answer that question since he has had so little screen time. Will there be a dragon binding horn? Maybe he will control Dany's dragons and thereby force her to do what he wants? I don't see him marrying Cersei, as many have been speculating. The two would work neither on a personal nor on a political level. It will be interesting to see if he will attack Old Town. Is he on his way to Dany by now, having built 1,000 ships already? If so, Old Town should not be on his agenda. If not, it would make sense. Sam is there for one thing, serving no obvious purpose that could be fulfilled within what little time's left. Therefore, getting involved in Euron's arc seems quite reasonable. If anybody should have arcane knowledge about how to deal with dragons, being it destroying or controlling them, it's the Citadel. Euron could stumble upon Sam and his horn, which might just turn out to be Dragonbinder instead of the Horn of Joramun. With that horn and that knowledge, he could go ahead facing Dany, probably besieging King's Landing at that point. I see Dany winning out, claiming the Iron Throne. Euron and Cersei will die, I think. It will then come down to what the other important characters will do. The remaining important characters and factions that could influence the bigger picture are Edmure and House Tully, Arya, the Brotherhood without banners, and, of course, Littlefinger and Sweet Robin and their Knights of the Vale. Of those, I don't see Edmure being good for an awful lot of mischief. He'll most likely be happy to rule Riverrun again, and with Cersei far away, neither proclaim for Jon, nor follow Cersei's orders if there should be any. He's his own man for now, with no major power in a position to make him do anything. I expect the Brotherhood to go north fighting the good fight with the power of R'hllor. What's there for Arya to do then? I don't see her killing Cersei, obviously. She will surely look for further revenge for her family, though she might happen to have to add the biggest family-destroying culprit to her list to do that. Littlefinger. She will find out what Littlefinger has done to her family, and assassinate him in the most satisfying scene yet. Whatever plot he devises to gain the North and ultimately the Iron Throne will be destroyed, and the Vale and its lords will join Jon's war against the White Walkers. Dany is then also free to turn north to work out some kind of agreement with Jon, most likely only barely avoiding another Dance of the Dragons, to finally stem the tide of the White Walkers and the dead with the fire of dragons, her red priests, and her numbers. Bran should prove helpful in preventing a fight among Targs. So, that's that. Everybody neatly accounted for. So, what do you guys think? Will it be roughly like I imagine it, or do you have different ideas? What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and visit the shit out of our blog.